Hello and welcome to the Watson Weekend. We made it to another Friday.
We
Yay!
survived. I'm back
We're
from
your hosts.
vacation. I'm a little tan, also a little, overwhelmed, tired. But Rick, bring us home. Why are we here? Why are we here today?
Why are we here? We're here because we love what we do. Otherwise, we would not do this because it would not be any fun at all.
That's right. Well, I'm your host, Jess Lesesky. Rick, do you really need an introduction at this point?
Maybe. I'm your host, Rick Watson. We are your weekly dose of medicine with just enough sugar to make it go down well. We are your place to go for news in retail technologies. And are we a place to go for tariffs?
Oh, you said the word. I thought it was like Voldemort, the thing that
Right.
should not be named. But we've gone there. We can't not hit the news if we don't talk about it. So yes, we are the news today, I guess, of tariffs. So here we go. We've got the dose of sugar. We need a lot of sugar today.
Yes.
It has been.
We don't. The sugar got ripped away.
Actually.
Well, now it's back.
But now it's yeah, you're right. Yeah. And so we are not professionals, as you can already tell, but we're trying. We're
not even a little bit.
No. So what is professional is the way that we can bring this show to you. And that is from our friends at Miracle. They are the 6X Club. If you don't know what that means, it's because who doesn't want to grow 6 times faster than anyone else? And that's essentially what Miracle will do for you. It's an AI-powered platform with cheat codes to e-commerce growth, marketplace, dropship, all retail media in one place. And let's face it, guys, at this stage, we can all use some diversification in our portfolio. If anything has taught us, you put all your eggs in one basket and, well, the price of eggs are real high. That's problem number one. Problem number two is there's no basket. So
no, the basket is made in China. It did not arrive.
And it won't be here.
It will never be here.
Yeah. So, Miracle's trusted by over 450 retailers. They do help us bring the show to you every week. Please check them out. We appreciate them and we try not to let them down. So.
No, I knew about the Mile High Club, not the 6X Club. So I'm learning new things.
Hey, that's what I'm here for you. I'm here for you, friend. I got you.
Love it. Love it. So here, we're going to get into the headline hangover.
And thank you, Passport, for bringing us the headline hangover. It's pretty packed. And Rick, you're going to kick us off with, why can't we have nice things? What are you talking about here?
Pretty simple. Like e-commerce has been in that drought of IPOs for a number of years now. And just in the past month, we had 2 IPOs announced. One is StubHub, the other is Klarna. With the uncertainty, there's that term, both have pulled or suspended their IPOs. And so, I mean, I guess the question I can ask is like, can venture capital get a break? Like, when are we going to get some liquidity here?
It sure cannot. It has been dark days in the sense of people being able to monetize their investments, right? There was trepidation in 24. We thought maybe people would have a little bit more confidence heading into 2025. Let me tell you what's not happening though, Rick. Deals are not drying up in luxury. So, yeah, if you have not heard, Prada is buying Versace for a cool $1.4 billion. So, yeah. Now
that's an expensive bag.
It's an expensive bag or several bags. The caveat here is that Versace has been on the slow train of growth. So it was picked up for a steal considering, Capri bought it for $2 billion. So a little bit of loss there.
It's going down.
When you're trying to clean the books, you take what you can get, but there are some deals happening. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Prada and Versace, both of those are nice things. So maybe we can have nice things.
We can, we'll see. I bet I'll see a Versace belt on you in the
I'm excited.
Future. Okay. So in the spirit of maybe letting things down, or letting people down. Gamers across the world were shedding cartoon tears as basically Nintendo announced that the Switch was on hold for pre-orders. As of 3 hours ago, and that was due to our T word, as of 3 hours ago, just like the ping pong that we have felt this week, we're back, baby. Because
we're back. We're going to have a Switch.
We got a date. The date is May 8th.
All right.
But, I didn't realize until I dug into the story a little bit more, it's not just for everyone. Like, there's some rules here, Rick, in order to get on this pre-order list. So let me give them to you.
All right. Break it down.
First, you must have purchased an online membership. So that's one. So
what?
Yeah. You must have owned that online membership for 12 months. You must have paid. So you can have skipped a payment there. You must have 50 hours of gameplay and have enabled to share data with Nintendo. So we got rules here. But so May 8th on the way, but it's just still not for everyone. There's some stipulations that are in play here.
This sounds like a limited drop.
Yeah, I guess that's what you're trying to do when you're maybe wanting to control inventory. I don't know. Or say hey guys, if you didn't play by our rules, which are you got to subscribe, you got to be paying this monthly, you got to be sharing data. Lesson learned, start doing it now. So
yeah, I mean, what I can see here is that instead of doubling the price, what we're gonna do is ensure that you have a digital subscription for 12 months, and that's where we're gonna get our margin.
Cha-ching. Yeah, basically. So lessons learned, kids. Tell your parents that subscriptions do pay off.
Yeah. So that is an interesting story, and I think I've heard about a lot of suppliers that are starting to think about okay, we have this contract. How obligated are we to this contract? And so I think if my cost just doubled, what alternatives do I have? And so I think there will be a lot of legal wrangling in the next couple of weeks if these tariffs pay in place. But specifically on our next story, I mean, can we think about our brothers and sisters in the Customs and Border Patrol Department? First of all, pour out some liquor or raise a glass or something.
Help them.
To these people, just help them. Send fruit baskets, fruit cake. Do you remember fruit cake?
Yeah, I do remember fruit cake. I still have one in my pantry.
The worst thing, but I used to love those growing up.
Really?
It's truly terrible.
They're pretty awful. What's in them, because they last a really long time also.
If you know, if you're listening and you know what is in fruitcake, am I remember the name right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right. If you know the ingredients in fruitcake, drop it in the comments. We're trying to figure out what that was. What that has to do with the Customs Border Patrol, we have no idea. But ultimately, these men and women have a few problems. Number one, no one could tell you at any given moment what the tariffs actually are at the moment. Two, if anyone could tell you what the tariffs are, they're going to change in an hour.
Right.
Three, they don't have any equipment and automation to process any parcels because all these rules are new, particularly the ending of de minimis for China and things. And now they're requirements. And so you have to pay new duties and taxes. And so we're in trouble with a capital T that rhymes with pool.
Wait, I thought AI would solve this, Rick. Doesn't AI? I'm seeing lots of LinkedIn posts around you're having supply chain issues. AI will solve this for you. So there's not a magic AI algorithm that's gonna help these guys figure it out. You're telling me it's still manual.
AI is gonna solve it. I agree. The ChatGPT operator,
agentic,
vector database, all the things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that will be one to watch. But yes, hug a Customs or Border Patrol official
on the way home.
If you see way home. Yeah, on your way home. They need it. They need some love. I think we've got another story in the retail space with Walmart, right? So what's happening in Walmart and where are they taking their
before we have a Walmart story. Before Walmart, we have NRF, who's coming back to reality. Which is
that's right.
Yeah, they had a forecast, and now it's a different forecast?
It is a different forecast. Yeah. So, the NRF crew, we love them. I think they always have rainbow, sunshine, rose colored glasses as they're projecting what's going to happen in the retail space. But they are saying now, look, it's going to be a slowdown. We originally were here, but now we're thinking that growth rate's going to be lower, 2.7%. Economic uncertainty. So I think that they're had originally said the forecast was going to be around 3.6%. They did give a range. Look, it could go up.
It's a range.
3.7. It's a range. It's a range. So I think that they're talking about the deceleration in GDP. It's going to be below recent year trends. I think the NRF is kind of coming around to the state of reality, which is it's going to be a rough year for retail.
Yeah. I mean, NRF is usually you see people who are down with OPP. NRF is down with OPC, which is like only positive comps. Like, yes. And so that's really the only thing that you see NRF. It's like the rose-colored glasses, things are going to be great, but no, they're pulling back.
They're pulling back. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to ignore at this state, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's hard to ignore. And speaking of hard to ignore, our next story is really Walmart kind of doing the same thing. Really, they're leading and kind of the NRF is following here, where Walmart basically said that Q1 profit forecast we gave you just like literally 3 weeks ago. Psych!
JK.
JK, LLL, OMG, WTF.
all of the things.
Yeah, all the things. And so essentially we have no profit forecast from Walmart right now, which should tell a lot of people just the state of the world, because they're really the ones that everyone looks to for a little bit of sanity.
Yes.
And I mean, not only did they just, it just sort of gives you some idea. I mean, you sat on a public earnings call. The largest retailer in the world basically said that tariffs are not going to have an impact on our business. Like, we good.
Right.
We cool. Don't worry about us. We going to be good.
We're shored up.
Yeah, we're going to be all right. Mm-hmm. So now you have the same company. I don't think they expected 145%.
I don't think
tariffs on 30% of their goods.
In your wildest dreams, would you have anticipated? Yeah, I don't think so.
No. So I think they're going to reforecast.
They have to. The other part that I think is very telling, we talked about last year how much Walmart had capitalized on, the Target shopper leaving. They were even getting that higher income shopper coming in as they were trading down. And really what they're saying is we see the strap that our consumers have. By the end of the month, they get to buying smaller packs. We can tell their money is running out.
Yeah.
So it's also not only, hey, we thought we were good, but we're feeling that consumer pressure, and we see it in the wallet and the way they spend, especially as it trends. And in grocery, which grocery had been saving them, right? And that was like one of their cash cows. Right. So it is kept telling, to your point.
Yeah, we out of money.
Yeah, we're out of money. And who's winning at the port? Because our readers are dying to know.
Yeah, there have been so many stories on the Twitter sphere, and other places taking pictures. So, during COVID, it became very popular to like track all the container ships going around. And just I think
like Taylor Swift's private jet.
That's continued. And so essentially what happened is early this week, after the tariffs were announced, before they were implemented, everyone's like, we got to get everything out of the country as quickly as possible. There's news that Apple sent 600 tons of iPhones from India, like immediately.
Right.
Just to get ahead of the tariffs. Yeah. Seems like a smart idea. That's a lot of iPhones, first of all.
Yeah. 1.5 million units. So
I could use one of those. My phone holds a charge literally for about half an hour.
Well, you're screwed now, because I just saw the price is going to go up by like $800 to $900. So new on you, man. Maybe you can find one on eBay.
This is terrible. But anyway, I mean, at the ports, what they saw was a rush to get out. And now, next week, they're predicting like two big things. One is air freight rates or air freight capacity in terms of leaving flights are going to be down potentially 90% because no one wants to ship with 145% duty on the other end. And second is that port exits are expected to be down 40%. So I think we're talking in some cases like as much, if not greater than COVID disruption for China in particular.
You're absolutely right. And a story that came out this morning is don't let your kids put up the Christmas ornament, guys, because if they break them, you can't get a new one. 87% of Christmas decorations, those like fun artificial trees, your ornaments come from China.
Yes.
And these manufacturing facilities have said that specialize in this have said normally our orders get placed by mid-April and no orders are being placed. And
Oof.
so we're going to have, remember that supply chain disruption we saw in, COVID times, like major shortage. So not only are things going to be more expensive, but you're actually not going to be able to find them. Either they're not on the shelf or they're not going to show up. So it's going to be an interesting holiday season for sure, which has always been the Q4 make or break moment for retail. And what does that do for, as it relates to supply chain and just availability of inventory? It's going to be a weird world.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a super weird world. And, nobody knows. Everyone's what I do know is that everyone on social media is a tariff expert. And these are the same people that are epidemiologists 4 years ago.
That's great. Also, yeah. They also love AI because again, AI is gonna all of this will go away, and you're gonna know exactly what to charge your customer if you're just implementing AI solutions. So, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, it's agentic.
All right. Well, we're gonna pick up this downer because we have an amazing guest. Sid Jatia is here, and we had a pre-record because he is so busy. He has an amazing career, 25-year track record of bringing a digital-first sensibility and successfully leading transformation at some of the largest organizations that you're aware of. He's currently the vice president of digital commerce and service at General Motors. He is working with GM to help meet their growth objectives. He's retooling their global approach, their capabilities. When you think about GM, they've got to sell not only vehicles, but parts, accessories, and they also have software subscriptions. He's also worked at Microsoft, where he was the global GM for their retail cloud business, or Azure, as you know it. And he led global e-commerce at Under Armour and it had a 10 plus year stint at Razorfish. So when we talk about leadership, it is so important and more important now than ever. You've got to lead your teams through uncertain times. You've got to make quick decisions. You've got to navigate all this uncertainty, and you have to find ways to keep your teams motivated and excited and energized about your plans, even when you don't necessarily know what the future holds. So we had a great opportunity to unpack that with Sid. And Rick, you're going to help intro this first clip for us.
Yeah, I mean, you might wonder, Jess, I think you said it so well, like in this situation where everyone can only talk about one thing, why leadership? I think it's really fundamental because I think in these times of crisis, the cream rises to the top, hopefully. And I think it's just a recognition that everyone needs to up their game. The first clip that I want us to talk about it's really fascinating. And Sid says so many great things here that I'd like us to unpack. So let's cue it up first.
Yeah.
For me, like one thing I found really interesting and useful is kind of a high-low strategy. So the high-low strategy, which is when you get focused on starting something, it's good to do some strategy and vision setting, but don't get caught up in manifesting just a super detailed vision.
Right.
Have some high-level sort of blocking, high-level sort of envelope thinking, and then focus on execution. Because what I've found with teams is that execution drives morale.
Yeah.
Vision doesn't drive morale, execution drives morale. So how do you get them into execution mode? Let them see some dividends of the work they do, because the best dividend is
that. I mean, even just that quote for a second, execution drives morale. I don't think it's very well understood because people want to see wins.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they do. I talk about this a lot, like how, especially if you're a new leader coming in, how can you help teams put wins on the board quickly? And that's going to rally your immediate team. It helps get your like day-to-day team really excited. And I feel like we spend so much time, hours and hours, meetings upon meetings, all the boardroom conversations. What's the strategy? What's the strategy? Your strategy doesn't matter if you actually don't start executing and see it come to fruition, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the analogy that everyone loves is low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
I mean, there's always whatever in every meeting. There's always low-hanging fruit. Like, where are these trees, Jess?
I know. Or the silver bullet. We're always looking for the silver bullet. Give me that one thing we can do that's going to transform our business. And it's a lot of times it's not the one thing. It's how you execute a lot of the core day-to-day things and do them really well and have that steady drumbeat that helps you ensure you're delivering against the goals. So I loved what he said, and it's so true. And you don't hear a lot of people at his level talk about execution, and doing things well and showing the wins.
Yeah, let me
this
keep
customer
it going
actually
here.
Using your product.
Right.
So if you can find these little pockets of execution and then you extract yourself back into the highest high mode, which is like, what are we really trying to do? Did we just something execute? Was that a proxy to our vision? Is our vision really where it needs to be? So if you can keep going to this high-low mode, I found teams not only just synced up to the common thread and the goal, but also at the end of the day, we want to make sure people feel sort of rewarded for what they do and feel like there's a payoff too.
I mean, I think those are really great words. And I think it's easy to say and hard to do. And I think this high-low idea, what I took from it is you're doing all the little things like, you're fixing your website, you're improving your registration process, you're doing like whatever it is you're doing. But then you need to understand how it connects to like the goals of the customer, the goals of the organization, your financial goals. And you can't have one without the other. And I think sometimes for different team members, it could be sort of very jarring. Like a lot of times you have people who just, their comfort zone is in the weeds, or people whose comfort zone is like looking for the big wins. And you really, I think as a leader, you almost, you can't do one or the other.
Right. Yeah. And we talked about with Sid, this notion of, especially the size of organizations that he's worked in, how you bring people along and make sure that there is that connectivity in a cross-functional lens. You've got so many different people, you've got lots of different parts of the organization. And I've seen and witnessed, and you have too, Rick, especially when people are coming, hey, help us. A lot of times the first question you end up asking is, do you understand the vision? Do you understand the strategy? Do you understand the goals? And you'll find these pockets of like everyone's doing something different because they had a different interpretation. So I'd love to show this next clip where we talk about what some of Sid's ideas are of how do you keep people aligned.
It's painful, right? It's painful not just for us. It's painful.
Seems impossible.
It's a very painful.
Don't OKRs solve all those problems?
I know,
right? Right. I was like I said, like I wish you could just say, hey, it's like, oh God, why can't we do it? But at the end of the day, this is where the rhythm of business of how you operate really matters, right? Like if you have an OKR, which however much we can hate the OKR, it's a good starting point. Right. Hey, are we tied to the hip on what the outcome we're trying to drive as a cross-functional team?
Yeah.
But I think it comes down, at least in my opinion, I've seen, if you don't have the right sockets around how work gets done, and not just to review the work, Because what happens is people come, show up into cross-functional team meetings, will generally give their opinions, sort of 80%, yeah, we're supportive, 20% haven't thought about this, and then they'll move on to do their thing, right? Does that bring consistent collaboration? I don't think so, right? Because ultimately when push comes to shove, or and you really start to think like, is this cross-functional team behind the decisions we made as a team? And you see clearly the alignment's not strong.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is like, how do we make them part of the work, not just part of the review?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all been in these projects where people are running away from the project rather than toward the project. And the reason is because the project smells. And it smells like it's going to be a career-ending project for me if I'm associated with this.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's going to distract from my day job, which is actually what I'm being paid on and bonused on. And so I also think, in addition, it's not just alignment. I mean, I think alignment is probably the right word, but it's alignment of incentives first, but then it's alignment of time.
Yeah,
like this. If this is like your third job, even if your incentives are right, you don't. It's more like a extra thing.
Right. It's like, is this the number one priority? If I only spend 10% of my time on it, doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, probably not. And so I think that leadership aspect and trying to create teams where you really look at each team member and understand what is their priority here? And are they on 3 projects? And what is their incentive? Are they incented actually? Because especially in like digital transformation projects, if you work with a leader that has been in the business for 25 years, many times they're not incented to digitally transform, because during this transition process, that's going to potentially damage their quota.
Yeah, it disrupts the business. Sometimes, you re-platform, your conversion typically goes down initially, right? As you're building it back up.
I was told it only goes up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ricky boy. You and I both know. Yeah. Those projects, they certainly usually pay off, but you have to have the patience and the fortitude to see them through. Yes. And to your point, when everyone's looking for that silver bullet or the one thing, you have to have a lot of patience. So I appreciated how Sid was talking about making sure there was that connectivity.
No, for sure. I mean, the next one is really about loyalty. And I think in a world where acquiring a customer is so expensive, even for like cheaper goods, as well as more expensive goods, because you're only going to make so many of these purchases. And Sid works at GM. And so the service and the sales process, loyalty is a big part of your execution. And so he has some interesting thoughts on loyalty that I wanted to bring up.
100%. And I mean, more so than ever, like we know people who are loyal to brands ultimately drive more than half the purchases for that brand, right? And it's not just a GM phenomena. That's a phenomena across every product. Like retention matters more than acquisition.
Right.
And every marketer will endorse that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the e-commerce world, it's, people think about CRO, they're thinking about loyalty programs, they're thinking about their own owned channels, which at the end of the day, in the consumer business or even in an industrial manufacturer distributor, it's your email file. Or it's your book of business, people that you're calling on, and how do you get the people who already have some kind of established relationship with to buy again, or to increase their share of wallet, Jess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I always know that there's this like tension, right? You need to nurture your existing customers. You want to build loyalty, but then you also can't optimize for only that, right? Because you've got to keep building your funnel. And we've talked about this with, Eric from Hawk Media in the past. Like if you keep focusing on all your investments in your existing, you start to then like lose sight of building the funnel. But I do think, from what Sid's outlining, like you do have to like think about that retention because it is going to get you the next sale. And especially in his business, like GM, the customer matters so much, right?
Mhm.
They sit in he talked about sitting, they sit in a service parts center and they wait 8 hours for their car. Like it's a horrible
Right.
experience. They're never coming back. So,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So as we think about, where we go, we had to ask the question of, well, what do you think about for the future, right? What do you look at? What are trends you think that are going to be big? And so Sid is going to help us kind of think about what gets him excited as he looks ahead.
We're seeing a lot of content creation, right? I mean, you guys are seeing it, you can see this full of it. It's getting tiring, honestly. Like I've seen enough of like memes, this, that. So like, but I'm hopeful when I think about just how do
We get
I
to see your beach hair again. This
experience
is great.
a product in the
Beach hair don't
digital
care.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3D spins and all have been around, but like how much work were they taking? Like that person was
Right.
like setting
Lot
up
of
their
time.
pop-up studio for like 3 days and taking
Yeah.
300 shots. And oh, by the way, the spec of the product changed.
Right.
Now what? Now he's gonna say.
Redo.
So I'm really hoping for this like engine, AI-based product, like product content creation engine, which can really give customers a little bit more deeper insight because, our e-commerce sales would be double if people could understand product better. I mean, it's not just in our industry, like it's probably in every e-commerce aspect. It ultimately comes down to, are you convinced it's the right product? And second, can you understand it?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting point because especially in complex products, visualization is important. You understand what you're getting. Am I getting the right product at the right price? Can I see how the different parts of it work together? Does it have all the options and levels that I need? And can I see it all in one place before I click buy or before I get on the phone and say, like, this is the thing I want to order?
Yeah.
Because that itself is a learning and discovery process.
Yeah, it is. And I loved when, Sid had also talked to us about the importance of creating that experience and then being able to have that really smart handoff or seamless handoff when someone walks into the dealership, that salesperson already knows, hey, this is the fitment that they've done. This is what they've selected. And now you're just picking up and carrying that transaction forward versus it being this push-pull disconnect. And I think that is what separates maybe GM from others, or the way that Sid thinks and operates from others is it's all about creating the seamless customer experience. And what you didn't catch at the beginning of that clip was we were asking Sid about his thoughts on AI, and because of course we had to ask. And I thought it was interesting that he's looking at it in a much more practical way that really will solve a problem and help with speed to market, but it's not like some crazy futuristic thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a situation where AI is promising a lot of things, and I think the things that it is promising, and it's in the early innings of delivering, are, I think, quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If those things can be delivered, I think for a lot of these things, you will still have humans in the loop.
Sure.
But it's just going to be a little bit sooner, so or fewer of them, as a result. And so as you think about leaders, they're going to be expected to do more with less. And these sort of future experiences still are going to still require people.
Yes.
Right?
They will. So as we wrap up, here, what are the things, Rick, you feel like, taking from what Sid said, knowing as you're talking to others in the market, what's the leadership role need to look like right now in this moment? And what do leaders need to do to make sure that their teams are set up well? And do you think also the market's going to have patience with leaders given where we are?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek's Start with Why.
Yeah.
But I think in this environment, the why isn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be putting points on the board, meaning
Mhm.
like if your execution is off, it doesn't matter. And
Mhm.
so there are a lot of people I think have gotten very excited about very fanciful things like CDP or customer data platform or advanced analytics and UI strategy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you can generate a ton of insights, but if you are not using them every time, then you're really wasting a lot of money.
Mhm. Yeah.
You might, I mean, it might be better for you to just generate one or two things, go and do it,
Yeah.
figure out if it worked, and then just do that again. Don't
Yeah.
waste time on the huge amounts, weeks of analysis
Right.
that then produce a huge roadmap of things that you can't do anyway.
Right. I think what you're saying is leaders in this state have to be willing to make bold decisions, be
Yeah.
willing to move fast because you don't have time, and sort of be courageous. It may not be the thing, but you have to be able to pivot your teams quickly and keep looking and finding those wins.
Yeah, I think the what you're doing and how fast you're doing it has become hyper important.
Mm-hmm.
And the why you'll almost figure out as you
Yeah.
go along because
Yeah.
you're learning. I mean, clearly you need a why, but it doesn't matter if you're just sort of sitting there, not moving fast enough.
Yeah. You can always have your big why.
Exactly.
You might have to
Yeah.
find the little whys
Yeah.
along the way.
Speaking of the big why, we have the big N coming up here, which is Mr. Kaplan. So first of all, we appreciate Sid Jatia from GM spending time with us, having a conversation. We hope we were able to share some of the wisdom. We talked to him, and we'll be releasing the full interview. We talked to him for like 45 plus minutes.
It was
So
so
there are
good.
a lot. It's so good, and we'll be releasing that. So that's exciting. Hopefully we were able to share a few of the nuggets from you that you can take away from your day. But that still does not detract from the big N. He's going to be talking to us about the evolution of the CMO. And so I'm excited about that. But we're going to hear about it in Kaplan's Corner.
Yeah, let's go.
It's an interesting conversation. I mean, I think it sort of plays really nicely into the Kaplan's Corner segment this week in terms of like kind of what matters, right? I mean, it's such a crazy moment in time. I mean, Darwin would be proud. I think that, look, let's talk about this, right? I mean, things have changed, and the CMO, sort of titled this "The Evolving Power of the CMO and the Age of Efficiency," which we sort of started really talking about, gosh, Rick, I mean, over a year ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, as we talk to people about their problems and their opportunities, we ask ourselves like a simple question. It's like, who's really driving growth today?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, we have these sort of interchangeable CRO applications of like conversion rate optimization and chief revenue officer. And I feel like, we worked with someone recently and had a person who was like both the CMO and the CRO. And it was like an epiphany. It's, oh, wait, like that actually kind of makes sense. Right. So in this like new age of the CMO, you think about them kind of as like the business architect, right? I think we thought about CMOs in days of old as like these creative tour de forces, right? Like these incredible, just like the devil wears Prada is like the CMO. And, today, right, I think that they've evolved. I mean, they're no longer just creative leads. They're revenue drivers and customer experience designers. I mean, they sort of still have that nature of what they were in terms of just that creative know-how, but they also have really turned to, for lack of a better term, like athletes and revenue drivers. And friend of the show, former CMO council person, Dave Finnegan, Finn to his friends, I'll quote a stat from the CMO council, which is like 65% of CMOs today believe that marketing should own and optimize a company's revenue generation. I don't think that is the way it used to be. And I think that skill set of old is sort of like gone. And now you have like a CMO, CEO kind of like shifting balance, whereas like a CEO thinks outside, right? And thinks about the whole transformation and the org's sort of sustainability and product cross-functional, whereas like the CMO now owns the funnel. Like there's like ecom, there's like digital product, there's life cycle, there's brand creative. And I think that like, CMOs talk now about customer behavior and attribution. It's not just like, can we find an amazing location? Can we shoot? And I think AI, which we talked about in the show, again, I don't know that there'll ever be another WW that doesn't have the word AI, and hopefully it does not have the word tariff in it going forward. But I think that, we talked about sort of AI, and AI is probably also driving change in organizations. As we talked previously on a Kaplan's Corner, I think about photo shoots and permits and talent and people. And the CMO used to be all of that and isn't really any of that any longer. And so they speak the language of finance. They align with their merchandising ops partners, but in a marketing is king philosophical way across the organizations. We think about the 5 forces from RMW this year, and they own the performance metrics, right? Like it's science as well as art. So I think that as we kind of think about CMOs and CEOs aligning more than ever before, there's a shared responsibility amongst them. I think we see far more CMOs becoming CEOs. It used to be all these financial people that became CEOs, and that isn't the case anymore. I mean, the modern CMO is probably the next great CEO. And so I think as like I leave you with a closing thought in the age of efficiency, right? And again, Darwin would be proud, but this age does belong to the executors, to go back to what was talked about, right? I mean, the ones who know their customer, they own their data and they deliver the results. So like, is a CMO a marketer? No. I mean, they're a brand builder, company leader, and a driver of efficiency done through execution. And so I think companies need to ask themselves today, like, do they have the right CMO? And if not, how do they find that person? And recognizing the criticality of that in this really pre-tariff Darwinian moment, post-tariff apocalyptic moment as we think ahead. And that, my friends, is Kaplan's take on the modern CMO.
Awesome.
Yeah, very poetic. There's I think when we talk about this leadership, and you've talked about this a lot too, Nick, you kind of have to evolve or you're dying, right? And it's just like any the CEO or the CFO, it's time for the CMO to modernize as well.
Yeah, I think that talking to people this week, this is not, Kelly Getch, another friend of the show, wrote a post about, get busy kind of living, right? And I think that this is really an opportunity. And if you don't have a person in that role that can help facilitate the evolution of your marketing investments and your customer file, you have the wrong person. It's not about the days of old. And I'll say one last thing. I remember as a young buck, I was very ingrained in the world of Ralph Lauren on the buying side. And, Ralph had people, probably still does because it's just so iconic, but that's all they did was like brand marketing. Today, I feel like the digital CMO is hiring the VP of brand marketing versus yesterday's CMO hired the VP of digital.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a great point. The CMO needs to be responsible for driving revenue because for sure the CFO is responsible for cost and taking cost out of the company. And so there needs to be someone really focused on how are we going to drive growth and maximize the investments that we can make.
Yeah.
And if the CFO is taking over the CEO role, then that's usually a restructuring issue.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
No bueno.
It's not a good situation if the CFO becomes the interim CEO.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Nick, as always. Lots of really strong wisdom coming out. Before we go, just want to thank Sid, want to thank Miracle, our show sponsor. Passport, our Headline Hangover sponsor. And want to thank our production team, Podcast on the Fly, Kaylee, Vinny, you guys all make this happen every week. And thank you guys so much who do watch the show. We really appreciate it. So if you don't mind to give us a like on YouTube, as well, tell your friends about it. We'd love to have some more folks join us on a weekly basis. So subscribe to us, get involved. Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like, and have a great weekend, everybody. We're going to close this thing down.
Yeah. And next week's show, we're going to be talking with our friends, Jordan Seeloff, succeeding on marketplaces. So we'll see you then.
That's going to be a good one. See you later.
Love it.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Come on, ramp it up, Kaplan. You're out of practice.
Where's your tariff dance?
Exactly.
Oh, we got Sid.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Sid Jimmy.